Of low pressure that we keep talking about over the eastern U.S., keeping Isaias away, that may move in midweek. So we'll talk about that in a second. Of course, here is Isaias down now to tropical storm status after, of course, being a hurricane earlier, but it is moving northwest right now. It has really not looked extremely healthy or like it was strengthening at all today. And of course, in fact, it weakened. And notice that it might, though, regain hurricane strength and become a Category 1 again, maybe even by tonight. The National Hurricane Center calls for that happening overnight tonight with winds back up to about 75 miles per hour. And that might be the case as it gets very close and maybe even makes landfall in a spot or two along Florida's east coast. So we'll watch for that, especially tomorrow. Then it will speed up as that trough of low pressure moves it a little bit farther out to the north and eventually northeast and makes its way along the U.S. East Coast, and again might eventually be still a tropical storm as it gets near New England later this week. The setup for steering is still the same, with a big high out to the east, the trough of low pressure, which will again guide another front into our area by midweek, and all of these things coming together to push it right up the U.S. East Coast. So a lot of Isaias talk will be going on this week, of course, as all of these coastal spots gear up for at least some tropical storm force conditions. You saw those hurricane warnings I showed you earlier are along Florida's east coast all the way north to Jacksonville. There are a couple of other spots in the tropics. One is a wave with a low chance to develop in the next couple of days, but it now has a medium to almost high chance of development in 5 days. So we will track it, but this one is expected to get moved off to the north before it gets close to the Caribbean or the Bahamas. And then, of course, we also have Tropical Depression 10 just barely hanging on at this point and falling apart way out near Africa. And we're not expecting that to really last much longer. And that's the tropical situation right now. So August 1st, things certainly will be ramping up later this month, throughout the month and into September. And thankfully right now for the Gulf Coast, we don't have any threats at this point from the tropics. It is nice and steamy, 104, the heat index. Note the next few hours, we still actually have a chance for an isolated storm. Overnight tonight, we'll have 70s to about 80, and we really just haven't seen a lot of development yet for any rain. So tonight we'll keep that low end chance, especially after the next hour or two, since we just did not quite see it develop. Tomorrow, highs about 94 again. I have the feels like temperature where we're seeing it now up to about 105 and about a 20 to 30% rain chance. I'll track it here through the day for you. That was 8 a.m. This is lunchtime. Probably just super hot at this point. We're all talking about how hot and humid it is. Note that tomorrow, though, here are a few spotty thunderstorms riding up because of that little boundary that may be hanging over our area. And then by 8 p.m., most of this will be wrapping up. Our forecast for tomorrow calls for, again, about 20 to 30% rain chances. So a few of us will get spotty thunderstorm activity, but just not a lot probably as those highs get into the low 90s. What to expect here this week? Tomorrow, more heat, few storms, then high pressure kind of takes over as we get into the next couple of days. So this week is actually looking really hot and mainly dry for our part of the Gulf Coast. And then a weak front at the kind of midpoint of the week, maybe Wednesday, could potentially bring some slightly drier air north of the lake. A few models have dew points dipping into maybe the low or middle 60s. So those of you on the North Shore might be able to feel that difference. South of the lake, not sure if the slightly drier air is going to extend all the way south, but we'll kind of tentatively say that for Wednesday if you're on the North Shore, but just kind of keep up with forecasts as that may change a little bit. And then getting into the weekend even, we keep somewhat low chances for rain, about a 30% chance perhaps a week from today, next Saturday.